Hey everyone, and welcome to Ink Spotlights from Comix Wellspring. This is the series where we shine the spotlight on immensely talented creators who print with us. Today, we're joined by Jeff DeMars to talk about some of his books, his journey, a little bit more. The Ink King is here. Hello, Jeff. How are you? I love talking to you, man. It's always a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much for having me back on to talk to you. This is great. I'm hoping to get a little bit more exposure to the book we just got out this year.
Yeah, well, tell us a little about the book. I'm super hyped to hear more about it. Or actually,
Yes.
fans hear more about it. I know all about it, but
So it's Tales of the Mariner. Is essentially an anthology book dealing kind of with like grim tales of kind of all over different genres. Sort of I don't know, some of the old kind of horror shows that you've seen. And every book is standalone. So our first one came out in February, and it was me and my longtime collaborator Nolan Nesbitt on pencils, and me doing kind of the rest of the work on the book. And honestly, we've been working on it for 15 years, so it was really cool to get it out, and we're excited that we're going to be doing another one, and hopefully next year we'll be able to announce it, if not release it.
you're saying you worked on it for 15 years. Tell us a little about that time span. Like, what obstacles kind of came in during that time period?
And it's kind of lame to say like life, but that's ended up kind of being it. That said, though, there was an aspect to it where we got a little disillusioned with the comic book industry at the time. Like we were nothing. We were just a couple of guys making comics, but we bought a website and we got like sued by another big time creator claiming we were doing evil things, and so we kind of got a little disillusioned at that time. And then we both started having families and things, so we worked on it off and on. But it wasn't until like last year when I really said I either got to do it so I can move on and do my own stuff drawing, or not. And I went with do it, and I'm excited, and it's been cool to go out back and at shows and like meet people in today's industry, because today's industry is very very different. It's been a pretty cool culture shock to come back to it and see people not holding all their skills like it's some sort of leverage and not willing to share or work with you. Everybody's just like an open book, and that's how I operate. I think it's annoying to learn a skill and not share it to somebody so they can save themselves the time. Like, how do you use a crow quill? Like, it's a basic thing, but when I was coming up, you could never get anybody to tell you, and there wasn't really YouTube videos. So it's really really cool where the industry's at, and honestly, a lot of the people making comics are really in it for the right reasons. They're about, kind of love or sharing their stories, and it's not just superhero stuff anymore, which is so cool.
I mean, it's really disheartening to hear like the circumstances of why something was postponed for so long, but it's really inspiring and awesome to like hear how the direction it went in, and just knowing that there was a change in the industry and a change in the environment, and is actually more encouraging and pushing you to do this. It seems like maybe it was like, fate, like it shouldn't have happened when you were intentionally wanting it to happen, and now was the perfect time for it. I don't Do you feel like you would have had like similar success releasing the book when you originally intended to, or you'd still be doing this if things had gone differently?
um I mean, for the mere fact that we have crowdfunding now, absolutely not. I wouldn't have any success back then. Back then it was shows or comic book shops, or you got in a car. And so we did an issue in our mid 20s before Mariner, and I got in a car and drove down like the Mississippi with a box of books and like hit as many comic book shops as I could and just see if they would put it on their shelves. And like that was how you did it. And you mailed it to people, but you'd never hear back. So crowdfunding is amazing, and that's been the big change. And it helps you get to the booth part without a lot of upfront costs too, which is really really needed because there's not a ton of money in this, and
Yeah.
if any money for a lot of us. So I think I wouldn't have as much success then. And also the appetite for this type of book 10 years ago is way different than now. I think people are interested more in like unique properties, things that tell kind of off the beaten path stories now. So
I love that. And so, what got you one to start creating, but also not to stop creating after some of these obstacles?
I mean, I think in college, meeting Nolan, we met in college. and we both like loved comic books, and I wrote scripts for no good reason because I told myself I couldn't draw, so I would just write them. And he was an artist and in graphic design in college, so we just decided to start doing them. And the first one we did it was like Maverick versus Bullseye, so like Marvel properties, and we got done with like a full issue. We're like, look at how sweet this is, but can't do anything with it. So like put it in a drawer, and then we're like, maybe we should actually do something we could sell. So this is we did another one in our 20s, and by the end of that, we like really hit like a creative groove in terms of what the art he was putting out in pencils, my inking skills, and kind of knowing how to do the rest of the steps. That we moved on to Mariner, and I think we were doing quality product, and we did a very like what we would consider professional comic, and kind of knowing that we could do that is what kept us going. I would always come back to it. Like I would have a big life event, it'd pull me away. But honestly, those were just excuses. And about 2 years ago, I said, you either got to say you're going to do it and just do it. And that's going to mean like life changes to get it
Hmm.
done. Um, or you're going to just put it out of your mind. And that's what happened. And I got rid of a ton of hobbies. And I just every night after like the kids are down and I'm done hanging out with my wife, I go down here for 3 hours and I just work and try to get as much done as I can. And that's what got this book to the end. And Nolan had a couple more pages I asked him to redo, just because I thought we could do better. So yeah, and then we were able to pull it off, and get it to Kickstarter in February. So, and it's been great. I'd say the thing that makes us want to do more is we were at our second show this year, and someone who bought it in spring found us in fall and asked us where our next book was, and like we had never had that before. And it seems like such a small thing, but to just the whole adage if you can reach one person.
Hmm.
So that was cool and it meant a lot, and I think that's what made Nolan want to do another one because it's a lot of work for him with his life too. So
Yeah, and that's the hard thing is fitting this into our day-to-day lives because it does get complicated, it does get exhausting. But I mean the passion's there. And honestly, like the hard work pays off because looking at Mariner and some of the other work you've been producing lately, like, dude, it's out of this world. It's so technical, it's so clean, it's so perfect. I just got the poster you sent me, a week or so ago. I mean, my girlfriend were
oh
just
yeah.
flipped out on the quality of it. It's beautiful, man. We were trying to find a spot to hang it up. We're gonna get a frame for it and everything because Silence of the Lambs is one of our favorite movies too that we watched together. So
Oh okay.
it was cool little homage. And
Hmm.
then it's great that you'll be part of that horror anthology we'll be announcing in February. So it's everything you're going through. It clearly you've hit bumps, but I love that those bumps never stopped you and it's become more encouraging. And I hope 2025 with a couple more books under your belt, continue that and it just encourages you more and more and inspires you more because I think you'll become more in demand once more people see just the quality of stuff that you spit out. And it's all traditional, fantastic stuff. Your inking is so clean. And then when I've seen your pencils, they're so beautiful, man. Like a lot of people don't know about this like short story you've done for the horror anthology, but it was one of the
Hmm.
coolest pieces we came across. So it's
Oh
it's
well,
gonna
thank you.
it's really exciting seeing you do all this year and what you're going into the next year. And speaking of which, what are your 2025 plans like as of now?
Yeah, so well, you hit on one of them. I did a short story in a universe I was making that I was going to do completely. So that was one of the big motivators to get through the Tales of the Mariner issue. Was I could then allow myself to work on something all by myself. I told myself I couldn't do that until I'd finished that story up. So I'm moving forward with a new book called Finding Kismet. So I have that short story that I did for the It's a Horror Story anthology, coming out or kickstarting February. And then I'm going to work on like a full first issue with that. So writing's going on right now. I do have the first couple pages done, with pencils and inks. And so I'll just keep working on that. And then I'm also working on the next issue of Mariner, that's going to be called Dig Two Graves, and it's going to be another cautionary tale, kind of dealing with revenge and the cost of revenge. So that'll be fun. It's going to deal with a wizard ship, so we'll see how
Sick.
weird we get with that. But the goal is to have that done next year at some point. But we're kind of tempering claiming any dates till we get rolling a little bit. So I have the first half of the script to Nolan, and he's starting in on art. So we'll see how we keep going. And if we're at a good pace, I'll probably be able to make a call early 2025 on some firm dates with things.
Rad. And we'll be right here ready to help promote it and spit out any sort of news you have for that. It's always super awesome talking to you, Jeff. It's always awesome watching you draw and the insight you give when you are drawing. You are there to guide a lot of people. And I think it's something that a lot of creators like. I really encourage people to check out your Instagram and everything you do because you give a lot of really great sound advice. And I know you're open to giving advice as well. And where can people find issue 1 of Tales of the Mariner right now? Can they go somewhere and buy it, or can they just catch you at cons at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, cons in Minnesota for the most part, or Wisconsin. And if you are in Minnesota, I have it at one shop called Comic College in Roseville, Minnesota. Otherwise, if you're not in the area, you can hit me up on Instagram. I'm still trying to find an actual place I can sell it. But you can absolutely hit me up. It's JAD underscore inks on Instagram, and we can work something out, and I can ship one out.
Love it, dude. Love seeing everything you've done. I love hearing about your story in general, and I just love seeing your work
Yeah.
overall. It's beautiful. I hope everyone goes and checks out your Instagram, give you a follow, and keeps up with all your projects as well. You have a lot of cool stuff happening next year. I'm so hyped for people to see. But Jeff, thank you for stepping in the spotlight
Yeah.
today. It's always great talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you for the time. Really appreciate it.
Always. And we'll talk to you next time.